I'm happy playing the safe route, but honestly, I have no idea how safe
right.
this is, so we'll see. Oh, is that the right
I
spelling? I
might
got the right
cry.
one?
But there's more than one Willie
No,
Starship.
there's not, but I'm just checking.
Welcome back to the Night Pitch, episode 16. Justin Wick, Evan Johnson. Evan, we've talked at length about uniforms. And there's a lot of intricacies that you can put in place when you're suiting up in a uniform. You can go one button down from the top. You can go two buttons down from the top. You could go button all the way up. You could wear stirrups. You could wear socks. You could wear a whole lot of different variants. You even see a couple big leaguers wearing different colored belts now. I mean, there's a whole lot of different layers that go into this. So I want you to kind of map out where you're at in your career, maybe through your career. What were the preferences on the variable elements where you were allowed to take some freedom with your uniform? What freedoms would you take?
I wouldn't button down very much. I know a lot of people would button down, but I never really buttoned down all that much. Just one. Just so it's comfy, not too much. Just one little one, because usually I have one here and then one right below it. You know, something like that. It's kind of like
It's true. Yeah, they're really close together to begin with. It's almost like it's designed to be one down.
yeah. The uniforms that bugged me were the ones that the logo, like even when it was buttoned right, it was like off. It'd be like offset or like it overlapped,
Yeah.
and it never like it didn't line up very well. But that's just window dressing. I say socks. Socks are a big one that players like to kind of customize and fool with. I know people that like exclusively wear high socks, and then I know people that like have never worn high socks. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really have a certain way to wear socks. I just kind of decide in the moment when I'm putting them on what I want to do, if I want to go high socks or not. But stirrups are one of my favorite things about baseball, because not a lot of people like. There's really nothing in other sports like a stirrup. It's just for flair. Well, it didn't start out as
That's
just for
actually cool.
flair, but
That's true. Do you know the origins behind like the sanitary sock? Like, do you know why that was a
yeah,
thing?
yeah, because the dye was infecting cuts, right?
Yeah.
So
Damn,
then
I
they
thought
started.
I thought I was gonna be really cool dropping knowledge and you already know about it. Goodness. I thought I was gonna be the educator and you already know.
Well, we can.
Although that was like I think it
Well, we can both say that we know, but to the viewers, the sanitary socks they wore underneath their colored socks in the olden days. But just to stop the dye from getting into the cuts and infecting the cuts if they had cuts on their foot or whatever, or just any kind of foot problem. I don't know if that's all the details, but then players were like, well, we have two pairs of socks in our shoes. So they started cutting them. And then it started to be a style where you cut them up higher and higher and higher so you could see the stirrups.
to see the innovation that comes out of this. And I mean, I think it's funny to see like the development. I know a good book recommendation for people that are tuning in is the Bill James Historical Baseball Abstract. Bill James, very famous sabermetrician type of guy. In this book, he talks at length.
Wait,
about
can you explain to the viewers what you mean by sabermetrician or saber? Yeah, metrician.
Actually, yeah, I just rolled over that. I don't even know if that's an expression. I might have just made up sabermetrician, but it's a derivative of the word sabermetrics, which is, I mean, it was the development of higher level baseball statistics. That's the Moneyball type of era when you started seeing new things come into play. And notable sabermetrics include like weighted on base average or wins against replacement is a notable one that really comes through. So it's more of like 21st century baseball statistics that really started to change the shape of the way that talent was evaluated in not so much like the actual performance statcast metrics, but within, what's a statistic with a little bit more context than what presents itself. So Bill James, he's credited with being the father of sabermetrics. And I don't want to get too far away from the uniform discussion that we were talking about, but I think in a similar parallel to see the progression of, we had guys like Henry Chadwick inventing batting average in the 1800s. We have guys like Bill James that are inventing game score and all of these different more complex things as it progresses forward. We've got Billy Beane actually putting them into play. We've got Andrew Friedman putting these into business. So I think about to recognize the progression of the way that the game goes. And I think this is kind of a good segue into, we talk about the sanitary socks that existed. Of course, we're not so much worried about the concerns of the dyes in the socks like you might have been thinking about in the 1910s, but even some parallels that still last to this day, like the reason you wear gray on the road is because in older times it was more difficult it's more difficult still to get stains out of gray clothes as opposed to white clothes. So the entire principle on why you wear gray on the road is because this is if you don't have laundry facilities at your home park like you do on the road, you're going to take your grays on the road. That's how we go. So I think
I didn't know that one. That's
really fun to
one.
see. Yeah, I know. I actually think that's really cool. Like in retrospect of putting it together, going, I guess it kind of makes sense. And that's kind of why home white uniforms are so notorious and you follow along with it. But I think in terms of to see the direction that the game has gone, and I mean, even we were talking about hats the other day of the way that hats have changed. Even like the new era 5950 is the hat that you see in the big leagues. And I mean, it's very standard, but like I remember when they used to be wool and then they changed into like a polyester blend and then they progressed into where they are now. Like this is only like a 20-year progression and it was all the same brand of new era. And then recognizing that if you rewind the clock, you mentioned like the Ebbets Field flannels hats of like that are meant to model the early 20th century of hats, and seeing the flannel caps that people wear, it's absolutely incredible. But no, I'll add in, and I don't want to take the spotlight here. You're talking about like button up a uniform. I remember I was very particular about, I was superstitious of if I had a bad outing, I would like almost punish myself and button it all the way up because I felt like I needed to be more prim and proper for my next game or something like that.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I remember seeing these things. Sometimes if I felt like I needed to just be a little bit more confident in my own skin, I would go 2 buttons down. I would always wear an undershirt just because comfort wise, that's what I practiced in. So I wanted to have something that bared that other than just a button up and no shirt underneath, which some people do like to do. That's another thing that exists. But
I don't like I don't like the excessive unbuttoning. I feel like that's just kind of a I don't say anything. I just don't like it.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, I don't think I think you're completely fine in that department. Well, and I think it's interesting too I don't know if you heard about this, but Clayton Kershaw, when he signed a shoe deal. He's with Skechers now. And I don't know if this was when he was still with Under Armour, I think, but he liked the Nike Dry Fit shirt. I don't have a source on this, but my source is I had a shirt just like it with a Nike logo on the neckline that he cut out. Like he literally had a cutout of where the Nike logo would be, and he's wearing Under Armour cleats. He couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's something that, we've talked about the different feel, and we've said how pitchers are able to recognize seam height of some baseballs feel bigger and smaller than others just based on hand stitching and feel like that. But to recognize all the way down to a future Hall of Famer in Clayton Kershaw, he loves the Nike shirt, and I can't confirm this, but I'm almost certain this is what it is because I've seen the shirts before and the cut was very distinct around where the Nike logo is. So I can't say I'm completely accurate, but I'm pretty sure I am accurate on this. But it's fun to see. I think in terms of like, what about some of the more uncomfortable uniforms that you've worn? Because I'm sure like when you make it into the minor leagues, it's probably a standard of, there's some branding deals that people have, and those are certainly very nice uniforms. But if you start getting into some of the amateur ranks of maybe the resources aren't as abounding, maybe the sizing isn't exactly normal. I remember my high school, some players didn't even have a uniform that exactly fit them just because of the resources that were there. So is there any uniform that comes to mind? Not that you need to slander anywhere you've been previously, but did you ever have a uniform that just didn't work in terms of feel?
Oh yeah. Well, when you get to a new affiliate, it's just kind of whoever gets there first gets the number and the jersey size that they want. Like, because there's not just, they don't size you for the uniforms. They just have, the uniforms, and then the numbers are basically go with the sizes. So if you get like a 55, that's probably going to be a size 50 uniform or something like that.
Yeah.
But I remember one year I showed up late to the affiliate because they didn't know where they wanted me to go yet, so I had to hang out down in spring training for a couple extra days. Well, I got in late. The only jersey they had left was like a size like 52. Is huge, and it was numbered like, I don't know, like 63. And I'm like, this is something like that. And I was like, this is gonna suck. Like, I was just swimming in the thing. So we had a guy who
linebacker out there.
Yeah. So we had a guy who got there, and then before we even played a game, he had to leave and go to a different affiliate because they were switching him around for somebody else.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And he was like 5'6", 5'7", maybe. If you're watching this and you know who you are, sorry if I screw up your height, but you're short, you know. And he knew he was short, but like it was a smaller guy. He's a pitcher, and I was like, dude, I'm taking that uniform because I know he's going somewhere else, so I'm gonna wear that one.
That's true, yeah.
And I think it was number 6.
So you're not even wearing a pitcher number at that point?
No, it was really in West Virginia I had number 2 as well because that was the smallest uniform. So I've really just exclusively been single digit numbers leagues because those are the smaller sizes. Pure. But it's if it fits good. If it fits well, you're good. The worst is when you get a big one, but it's a not button down. It's like a V-neck, solid front and solid back, like the screen printed kind of type. If those are extra big, man, that's brutal because they don't really adjust with you moving around.
Yeah, you have no flexibility. You have no give with it, sure.
I'll say that my favorite uniforms, though, and some people might not like this because some people don't like these, but are vests. Not necessarily the way they look. I don't really care about how the vests look. I think they look worse than like a traditional uniform with a button down and, you know, the pinstripes that come through. But the best to throw in is the vest because you have no sleeves and you wear the tight undershirt underneath, and it's just free and loose. Nothing's getting tangled up. Just kind of hangs.
That's a good point. You know, I never really thought about that. Actually, I saw a tweet just the other day that was talking about the Colorado Rockies were the last team to wear like an active vest in their uniform kits, and they recently got rid of it. So as of this year, there are no teams in the big leagues that have a vest variation. And
that's
like there used to be, everybody had one. Like, I mean, that was a big league staple in like the early 2000s. That was the standard right there. So I agree. And, you know, it's funny to me because I thought about, you know, if you hear the old adage of practice how you play, and I mean, that's very common. It's recognizable. It's understandable. But when you realize that all of a sudden, all right, now I'm in a game, I have a lot thicker of a material that I'm wearing. I have a whole lot of patches on my arms of like, I might have a state flag or something.
Like embroidery.
That doesn't have the give. Yeah. You have stitching that's there. So, I mean, that was why I wanted to wear an undershirt because, you know, I'm not going to go to the gym and lift with like an embroidered jersey on. And that doesn't mean jerseys are bad. Like, I'm all for sharp looking uniforms, don't get me wrong. But I think that's always such a weird complexity to it that I can recall. I don't want to insert my own playing career stories because that's what we have Evan for as the active player. When I was invited to play at the Field of Dreams in 2021, and this is after my playing career is over, I hadn't worn a uniform in about a year at that point. And like, I didn't know what it was like to wear baseball pants for a year. So I went and I threw a bullpen on the mound and I suited up in full uniform. Like, literally, I had a jersey on me and I was just like, I don't want to leave anything to chance. I want to know what it feels like to be in a uniform again. And people at the facility are like laughing at me. And fortunately, it was a good crew, but I remember kind of feeling cheesy about that in the moment. But it really dawned on me as far as, you know, you prepare, you leave nothing to chance. This is how I'm going to feel. I attack this to make sure there's no surprises. And then you show up to a new affiliate and you're wearing a size 84 jersey. And it's like, How could I have? I mean, again, it's one of those control what you can control, but you would think that it's just kind of an innocent thing of, yeah, it's just a shirt that you wear or something like that. But I know I mean, there's complexities there. There's so many layers that go into it, but it's fun to follow. I second that with the vests. That's something that I always absolutely loved. And I feel like it doesn't get a good. I want to ask you about like overall uniform design. This is something I've never asked you this before, but I'm curious because you're very graphic design inclined. Of I like a good simple jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm a sucker for like a Los Angeles Dodgers home of just very simple, very clean. We talked about this with clean hats type of thing. Um, but you can't really go wrong when it's basic. And then
Correct.
I look at it going, all right, well, that also doesn't really give it the character that it's needing. But I think there's a difference between like ornate architecture and design and making it beautiful or respecting the history of the game. If you go back to the 1920s and you see pure, just graceful, the way the baseball was intended to be in the grassroots level, you see just simple uniforms and it's just so pure and you can have freedom within it. You can go there, but is that is there any super complex baseball uniforms that stand out to you as just being beautiful ones, or is it always the simple ones that are the best ones?
Usually the simple ones. I like the ode to baseball history in the uniforms.
Yeah.
I want to go backwards for a second and talk about the vests and ask you a question. Do you remember?
There we go.
Do you remember? But we'll go back to that too, because I don't want to skip that because that's a topic that we could talk on. But I want to go backwards for a second and ask if you remember when the Reds wore their vests with no undershirts.
Yes. Oh, was that the Ken Griffey era? Yeah, the Ken Griffey Jr. vest. I know he did that on the turn ahead.
Well,
I'm thinking the Mariners did that too with the turn ahead the clocks.
Well, recently I was maybe I don't know. Recently, as in like within the last 10 years. Reds wore a retro vest, but they wore it with no undershirt. And I think Michael Lorenzen was pitching that day. I think that's why this is
okay. And I think he might have been wearing the Vans with the cleats too, if I'm not mistaken. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing too: is if people don't know, it's in the minor leagues, right? I would assume it's different for obviously the majors, but at the minor leagues, what happens is like 30 minutes before the game, when everybody's getting their stuff on and going out to go out to see the anthem, everybody in the clubhouse is finding the starting pitcher to ask what jersey and what hat are we wearing.
Yeah,
that happens.
That's true.
That happens every game. Say, hey, what hat and what jersey do you want to wear? Because we kind of like mix and match because we had 3 hats and we had 3 jerseys. Obviously couldn't wear the gray one, but like 3 jerseys and 3 hats. So pitchers would pick their preference. So on some random like Thursday night game, we're wearing like our alternates because the pitcher is like, yeah, I want to wear this one. I like this one's my favorite. And some guys go with some interesting combos, but that happens in the locker room. It's before every game, people's trying to find the starter and go, hey, what are we wearing? And somebody tells you this, and it's actually this. And you'll have guys go out there with the wrong hat on sometimes.
That's right. Yeah, you're messing with it. Yeah, of course. The innocence involved with running out with the wrong hat. You're just like, are you serious?
There's been times where we're sitting in the bullpen and we see the left fielder or the right fielder, and we notice like, oh, hey, he's got the wrong hat on. like, wait a minute. He didn't get the memo that we were wearing this hat. Somehow nobody told him. Probably intentionally nobody told him. But be like, hey, you got the wrong hat. And I remember a scenario where that happened, where we in the bullpen ran up to the locker room, got the hat, and then got from his locker, and then threw it to him on the field, like in between pitches. And he threw us his other one, and we ran back up and put it away.
And he's swapping it out. Just there you go. And that's funny too, because you probably remember those instances more than like the actual situation in the game at hand too. And then all of a sudden you've had a new friend. You're like, this is what we needed to do to look out for our guy right here, man.
Yeah. So to go now, turn the clock forward.
Yeah.
To what in the scope of things of what we're talking about, uniform design. I really appreciate the uniforms that have like an ode to baseball history. I think that's cool. I like when teams go throwbacks. I like certain elements of a uniform that are very baseball specific. Like there's this, if you have a button down, there's this trim that starts like an inch away from the collar.
That's true.
And then it runs to the middle, and there's the
Yeah.
trim that comes down, in between on the other side of the buttons in the chest, and a stripe, a different colored stripe on the edge of that trim, or on the edge of that, whatever it's called, the hemming pattern.
Like just the button. Yeah, I hear.
That's a very baseball look. And then like a small line, like an inch away from the end of the sleeve. That's another baseball look.
That's right.
Pinstripes are a baseball look. Unless you're the Orlando Magic or somebody else.
I was going to say, that's actually interesting. Is baseball the only place you see pinstripes?
I feel like the NBA got some, but they just, I think
was that like
didn't
a
the
90s
Bulls have
thing?
a special
Like the
edition
Toronto
one?
Raptors.
Raptors.
Yeah, that's like the Vince Carter era. I think I remember seeing a black Jordan jersey with. Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Yeah, but yes, just baseball. And I appreciate also baseball logos that incorporate the game, right?
Yeah.
Like the history of the game, like St. Louis, how they have a bat with the bird. It's not just a bird, right? And then
The stitching on that is great too, by the way. Like that's all stitched in. Like that's not just like canvas letter. Legit. That's incredible.
I remember when I was a kid, we'd go look for uniforms at their stadium, and we witnessed the change in the team store from all stitched jerseys you could buy to now it was a screen printed like plastic patch. And I was so mad.
Yeah.
Because now the only one I could get that was stitched would be like a throwback of like a gray jersey of like Stan Musial. And that's cool, but that was also like $400. I couldn't just buy like a regular home white of, a player that I like.
You're on the standard here.
Yeah.
But that's
I want to ask you yours.
Go ahead.
I want to ask you yours. You like the baseball tradition, or what are some special edition uniforms that you like too?
Yeah, I like the old school type. I mean, I agree. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm saying the same thing you are, because I feel like that's kind of a cop-out answer. But I think that, what does it take to feel like you're a professional? And I think in terms of, the ones that really stand out, other than like the staples of the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, the Giants, we've mentioned cream. Like, I'm a huge proponent for cream uniforms.
That's
my
a baseball
favorite
color.
Jersey. Yeah, I kid you not. I think my favorite jersey in the big leagues right now is the San Francisco Giants home creams. Just because, it just looks so good.
Do they still have? Is it just the SF right here, or does it say Giants?
I think they have a variation of Giants, and then on the road San Francisco, and then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they still do have an SF.
That's
So
another
I think there's
thing.
A couple there.
That you can tell the viewers what it says based off home and the road.
That's true. This is it's my favorite when people mess this up too, and they don't know it. I've seen some teams that mistake this, and like in the college ranks have done this the wrong way. On your home uniforms, you put your team name or like your mascot equivalent. So we'll use the Giants for this. The Giants home uniform says Giants because you're in San Francisco. You're there to see the Giants. Mm-hmm. If you go on the road, so let's say they're playing in Phoenix or something, they're going to wear their road grays, and it will say San Francisco on
Correct.
it. Because if you're the road team, fans might not know where you're from. And if they see Giants, they might be, who are they? As opposed to, they're from San Francisco. I'm so happy you pointed that out. It's such a small intricacy that you almost overlook and take it for granted after the fact. But like, that's a really cool nuance that goes into the game that I absolutely love.
Yes.
And you don't see it as often. Like, I know in basketball, traditionally you'll have kind of like a home or a road, but they're a lot more interspersed of there's not really a standard. This is another one. Some teams don't have team locations on it, like the Philadelphia Phillies, their home and road says Phillies, but it has
same
Philly
with the
names.
Cardinals. Same with the Cardinals as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually, that's another one. I'm trying to think of another one that does that. This is not an on the fly thing to think about now that I think about it.
Searching through teams.
He's like, wait a minute. We can go alphabetical. Angels. The Angels don't. They don't put Los Angeles across it.
Yep. The Angels don't.
Right, this is gonna.
I was gonna say we need We need a little screen share of MLB The Show to go through uniforms to try to figure this out.
That would be such a quick overlay of just hitting next 30 times and you're good to go. Oh my goodness, man. No, I mean, I think that's fun. And I mean, getting back on what you said of what some of my favorites are that exist in the big leagues, I know that I kind of like the nuance that exists with the Detroit Tigers of their homes are just white and blue, very simple. And the only time you'll see orange on theirs is when they're on the road. Like they don't have any hint of orange at home, but their orange is exclusively on their road uniforms, which I always thought was pretty cool. And then I like the side of I'm not really I mean the City Connect uniforms, I think there are some that are cool, but I've kind of I mean I like how it's just kind of a one-off occasional type of thing, but I think the thing that kind of irritates me is when fans start to favor that more than the traditional ones. Because like if you go to a game, there's a good chance that you're going to see more City Connect jerseys than you do actual normal kits right now. And I get it because they're all relatively new and that's the way that they go. But something that drives me up a wall, and apologies to Los Angeles Rams fans when I say this, but when a gradient is used on a uniform, I can't stand a gradient uniform. I'm just not a fan.
No, you got to have the traditional solid color to solid color.
Yeah.
It prints well. It creates contrast. It's easy for people to see. I'll say that the baseball uniforms, one of the things that I like is when they have on the left side, just the Tigers, like just a logo on the chest. On one side.
D, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty professional looking.
I like the variation too. Yeah, well, and that's I mean, I know you've mentioned like the different you showed me the Iowans jersey that you had. I mean, I know you probably don't have it like right next to you right now. But like I mean that's a vest too, is that right? Like you've got the side and you've got that was kind of standard for a lot of
that one
vests,
has a lot of baseball elements to it. A lot of baseball elements. One, it's a vest. Sorry, I just put up two. One is a vest, and two, it's pinstriped, and three, it's got the logo on the corner chest. Like,
yeah,
that's a very baseball. The beginning of the second half, I'll just flash it real quick so everybody can see what it looks like.
Oh, jeez, I'm making you turn it into show and tell. That
maybe I'll just wear it. I don't know. I'll just wear it.
We'll have a good time with it no matter what, man. You know, I think it's fun too, and I mean, I think this is a very good thing to branch off of. If you're tuning into the show and you haven't seen, I think it was episode 14 where we showed all the different hats that we have of, you know, recognizing the identity that goes into it. I think a cool thing of this and something that I do want to add is when a minor league team has an identity that's very clean, very simple, like a big league team.
Like
I mean,
a Durham Bulls.
Typical if you see the big, like a Durham Bulls. Yeah, I was thinking Tacoma Rainiers are another one. The Salt Lake Bees are pretty clean too. I mean, I think a lot of the different AAA ones that come to mind, but the Durham Bulls that's actually probably the poster child for exactly what I'm trying to say. That is probably
like the most. That's probably like the most traditional minor league team.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, and thanks to Kevin Costner, they can never run that back either. Because if they change that, that would just be like almost borderline sacrilege at that point.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, good times right there, man. You know, I guess the one bit, and this is something I kind of want to hear your feedback too on, of, you know, especially recognizing the direction that the game is going in terms of. You know, I'm not trying to say that it's necessarily a bad thing to be flashy or to have accessories. I mean, it's all a comfort thing. And I think the most important thing to preach is no matter what you think it is, if you feel comfortable wearing it and if it's going to help you play better, there's a good chance you should probably do it. Just because, yeah, if you're competing and you're doing your job, nobody's going to tell you what to do. Just find what your comfort is. So I know some people will like to wear some chains. Some people will like to wear some super elaborate chains. Some people like to do both. They will have a super elaborate one given to them by David Ortiz and then another given by a fan, just like what Mookie Betts does. And if you don't know that, just look up Mookie Betts chain. You'll see a very sincere, pure thing right there that he's done for years. You'll see people button down 1, 2, 3, 0, whatever it may be, or the different sock variations. I think that the message that I think is really cool to say on this is, you know, in baseball, I think it's actually really cool that you're probably able to individualize your team uniform more than any other sport, which some people may kind of think that's a bad thing. But I think that it's really interesting to recognize that you have the freedom to find what's going to make you comfortable. and you're able to turn that into maybe not so much the act of expression to where maybe that's you're kind of using that advantage in a malicious sense, but you're able to do it to, this is how I'm going to feel the most prepared, and this is going to how I feel the most comfortable at that point. So as far as I'm curious your thoughts on this, because I don't really have a deep rooted kind of side. I mean, I'm kind of on both sides of the fence on this, but as far as that variance of you can kind of curate it based on your feeling for the socks, the different bagginess of the uniform, the button down. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Or how do you really think the most professional way to go about those different decisions within your own uniform is?
It's got to be cohesive, It's got to stay within the brand. But
sure,
yeah, like certain players wear certain things, and that's part of the personality of the player. And that's like kind of what we were talking about 2 episodes ago, episode 14. Like, who has that? What's that impact, right? It's like part of how you create a personality. There's some people who just always wear stirrups, always wear high stocks, or always wear pants down. Or I remember seeing people that I knew when I was a kid come into the game with stirrups on that day. And I'd be like, they never wear that. Why are they wearing that today? Like, and I had all these questions. But as long as it's within the brand, just from just an overall look standpoint, and I just cannot stand when something is added to the uniform by a particular player that's not the color of the team.
That's actually a good thing to add.
Unless it's for a good cause, right? Like, or for like awareness,
like
but if it's
breast cancer or something, within ring, if you're taking advantage and you're deciding to rock some like Kelly Green things and you play for the Cincinnati Reds,
or like a tie-dye thing or whatever, but a lot of players have a lot of liberty with their cleats, so that's where you see a lot of like different style things. A lot of them have certain designs on them that are owed to people they know or certain causes, and they started the my cause, my cleats thing. I thought that was pretty cool. Like, just little things like that. Uniforms are fun, and I like the ones that are historical, but I also like the twist that players put on them. I never really get
true. I think
I never get too crazy with mine. I just kind of decide in the moment, wow, I'm gonna wear it, but I usually go pretty standard.
I like that. I think it's a pure way of saying it too. And I mean, I like what you mentioned as far as having the freedom and assuming that you're doing it with good intentions too, and you're doing it to kind of like bring the good out of the game, which I understand that there's a subjective understanding for how people see that too. So, I mean, it's not to say that there's one right or wrong way of doing it, but it's cool to see that people have the ability to decide for themselves what they think that right or wrong is. And I do want to add this I personally think there's nothing much cooler with a uniform than all black in a day game.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, this is the old school sense. Like, just even if your team doesn't wear black cleats, which I know there might be kind of regulation against this, but if you decide to, I think that's a sharp look.
If you're gonna do some kind of non-traditional pant color, you have to do it right. Otherwise, it's not gonna look good.
That's also true. You start looking a little men's league softball beer league if you take too far. But, oh my goodness. No, I love it, man. I think this is important to talk about. I hope that everybody's enjoying it, coming along for the ride. We're going to cover probably more. I mean, we could talk about these types of things for ages, but fortunately, when we have a clock of about an hour of an episode, we make sure that we make it super efficient for you guys. So needless to say, that means we are going to take a short break. We will be back in just a short couple of seconds. We'll keep having some fun with it, and we hope that you guys stick around. Got a nice little intermission. We'll be right back. Power Minute, Justin Wick. Hello, friends. Breaking down RE24, the change in run expectancy in a collection of baseball outcomes. This tells you how many runs a performance is worth. RE24 takes the change in run expectancy and it assigns it to a pitcher and a hitter. Let's put it to work. MLB expected run table and example number 1. 1.147 runs are expected to finish an inning with runners on the corners and 1 out. In that 1 out, first and third situation, if a hitter hits a bases clearing double, they get RE24 credit for 2 runs scored and the new situation. The hitter gets the credit and this outcome is charged to the pitcher. Another Another example, if an inning starts with a strikeout, credit goes to the pitcher. Outcomes can be added on a game or by season basis to show run productivity, but there are weaknesses. 3 and 4 hitters in a batting order will likely have more runners on base, so that scale is weighted differently than hitters at the bottom. Also for pitchers, inherited runners will adjust reliever figures a lot differently than starters. Simply put, RE24 does a great job showing the players that got the job done. If a crowd is chanting somebody's name, it's likely the RE24 leader. Welcome back to the Night Pitch. Evan, we said we were going to have you do a little bit of show and tell. You have that uniform on us.
Yep.
I'm fired up. I love seeing this thing. The classic Iowans, man. We were talking about the characteristics of a good, simple uniform. Like good, old school, respect the heritage. That's the vest. That represents, that's got some solid piping characteristic of that old school look. Dude, I respect it, man. That's a good setup right there.
Yep.
It's so pure. So clean. And it's got the state outline, too. I will say this. Evan put it on over the break. And it's a little small because, it was an amateur jersey. Evan kind of looked like the Michelin Man when he put it on, which I was like, I respect it, man. It was solid, but we just had to do the demo, needless to say. We are going to do another live demo here, and this is going to cover something that has taken the baseball world by storm within the past year. And this is something known to the coveted many as the Immaculate Grid. We're here to tell the people what goes into this thing, all the different formats. We're here to do one live. We're legit going to do one live on the air. So, let's do the thing. What do you say? We're ready to roll. We got to explain this. We got to present this. We got to tell the people what it's about. And we've got to most importantly show how it's just unbelievably amounts of fun coming up with obscure baseball names of people that you've never known. So,
that's right.
Let's do it. Let's do the thing.
All right.
Here we go. This is what we're working with right here. So as we can see, for those of you, we do need to describe this from a fundamental standpoint. If you're not familiar with this, if you type in Immaculate Grid on Google, this is going to be the first thing that pops up. So we have 9 different grids. It looks like a tic-tac-toe board. As you can see, the cursor highlighting all of those. The goal is to find a player that corresponds to that point in the grid. So, for example, the top left corner means that player needs to have played for the Oakland A's and the Seattle Mariners. We can go all the way to the right, and you'll see that's a 300 batting average for a season and the Oakland A's. You need to find a player that matches both of those criteria.
That's actually 30-plus home runs and third. Oh, wait. No, you said that already. Yes.
Right.
Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
Sorry.
In the middle, as you can see, as I'm making sure that I got it right as I'm reading it off, I was like, yeah, that's 300. All right, good. So, for example, the middle one, all right, that means Milwaukee Brewers, 30-plus home runs in a season. So, I admit I am very good about the statistical ones. I also admit I am not very good about the team ones. If I don't know a team one, I generally like the ones on the far left for this particular one. If I don't know what the teams are, my secret hack is I just put in LaTroy Hawkins or Kenny Lofton or Rich Hill, just somebody that played for 31 of the 30 teams. Just because that's just your margin for error is pretty good there.
Rich Hill is the one that is the king of the grid. He has played for so many teams. And another one, too, is Tommy Malone. Tommy Malone has played for a lot of different teams.
It's funny, too, because I've noticed the people that really do good with Immaculate Grid are the ones that can name obscure relief pitchers, just like none other. Like, I absolutely love a good, like, Jake McGee, of somebody that just recently kind of bounced around all sorts of different teams. Or who is that dude? Was it Will Smith? That he's won 3 World Series in the last 3 years with 3 different teams.
That's something.
When you see these come together. So we're gonna do a live demo, and this is real. This is live action that we've got going on right here. So my strategy on this, and this is something that I do want to point out for people that maybe aren't familiar with the Immaculate Grid. At the end of your gridding, when you're completed, you get 9 guesses. So if you get one wrong, that means one of your boxes isn't going to be filled. So the only way that you can do this perfect is if you get 9 on the first try. So this then creates a competition of, you get a percentage with every selection. So let's say if I say Pirates and Giants, I'd put Barry Bonds on there. Well, that's probably going to be the most popular one. So it's going to have a percent that says this is how many people that did the grid also did that same voting percentage. So the goal on this is to not only get all 9 boxes, but to come up with the most rare selections that you can, because it gives you a rarity score, and it can see how much more like obscure and just out of this world your selection is compared to other people. So that creates a lot of contentiousness when you think you have a good one, and then you find out you don't, and then you find out that you don't have a perfect grid anymore, which means I type it in a private browser, and sometimes I try twice just because, I'll just pretend the first time didn't happen.
Yeah.
You didn't hear that from me. It is what it is. But so we're gonna crank this out. Evan, I know that you said you do pretty well with the teams, and we put the Mariners on there. Is there any that, I'll be honest, the far left column, I could rattle off the 2 columns on the right, but the far left, I might need your help on this. I'm not going to lie.
Well, the first one that comes to the mind with the Brewers and the Mariners is Colton Wong, but that might be a high percentage one. You want to go for the lower percentage ones that not a lot of people would know. I feel like Colton Wong is so recent that like you would have a higher percentage on that one.
Yeah. Well, and that's interesting too. I really enjoy the players that just made their debut, and this is something I've noticed is players are like people that are really good following like card collectors, like people that collect baseball cards and track how amateur, like very prospect status players made like move back and forth. Like I know JJ Bleday between Oakland and Miami. I mean, this wouldn't necessarily work there, but this guy just made his debut and he's already like in that category. Goodness, I should have let in with the 2 columns on the right because I just admitted my own inadequacies before we haven't even put a selection down. I'm already sounding like I'm struggling.
Let's commit to one. What's one that comes to mind on the far? Let's get the far left column done because to me that seems the most difficult because we can pick superstars for the other ones and get away with it.
Colton Wong is probably safe. Do you want? I mean, my only thought is. Let's get on the board with Colton Wong. Let's just get ourselves something.
Get on the board with Colton Wong. Oops.
It's a spelling test. Too.
Yeah, it's also a spelling test. Okay, 16%.
All right.
That's all right.
That's actually better than I thought it was going to be. That's actually pretty good.
Right. Okay.
All right, so I know this is interesting too because I've also noticed that if you go diving into the depths of like the Oakland Athletics, this will include the Philadelphia A's and the Kansas City A's. So for home runs, Jimmy Fox would be a candidate.
You want to try it?
The home run, Jason Giambi would be on there. Jose Canseco would also be on there.
Yeah.
I don't know if Jeremy Giambi would be on there. I don't know if he got to 30, but I know he had some power.
Would you rather go Jimmy Fox for 30-plus homers or 300 average? Because if he's an older player, a lot of guys didn't play if they weren't close to this number.
Yeah, well, and the older players are that's a good point that you put together of like in historical analysis. By the way, the 3 true outcomes in baseball, power hitting is a lot more higher value than it is now. That means more likely you're going to see the 300 hitters in older eras. So Ricky Henderson is probably going to be the leader for the average.
Yeah,
just because he's a flyer, he could do it. So I think Jimmy Fox would be better to put on the far right. And this is good, too, because the most rare, I think, could potentially be Jimmy Fox for the middle one. But I think for these purposes, that's probably the best way to fulfill it.
I'm not finding Jimmy Fox.
What do we got? F-O and 2 X's, right? J-I-M-M-I-E.
G-I-M-M. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Jimmy Fox. Leave it to Wick to know these names. I would never have.
Journalism degree just came into play.
Yeah, I had never seen a Jimmy spelled like that. All right, we're gonna send it on 300 average.
If this is wrong, I'm gonna cry.
All right, 3%.
That's actually pretty good. That's not bad.
Very good.
If
That's
this
great.
was wrong, and we had to reschedule the entire. So we're gonna have to restart the episode if that was wrong.
Here's what I want to know.
Oh my goodness!
For our A's category for 30-plus homers, was there anybody on that Moneyball team that hit 30-plus jacks? Did Jeremy Giambi hit 30-plus jacks? Because people might go Jason.
I'm sure. Well, Jason will be on there.
Yeah,
I think that Canseco would be on there too.
Those will be high.
And this is Josh Reddick.
Oh,
I mean, the tough thing too, because I mean, this is one that I think we could come back to because I wouldn't want. Well, we know that McGuire would also be on there, and McGuire is probably going to be the leader. So, I mean, that's the thing. Like, we have multiple selections, but we want to find the most rare ones. So we've got McGuire, Canseco, Giambi, maybe the other Giambi, Josh Reddick. Like, those are 5 prospective ones that I know 3 of them are for sure going to be on there. 2 of them may be on there. What would get us really good rarity, I think. Goodness gracious.
we could either just play it safe with Jason Giambi, or we could go big with and play a little risky with Jeremy or another one.
No, well, the tough thing is if we don't get this perfect, like, I'm not saying that we would see any backlash on this, but how do we explain it if we don't go 9 for 9 in a live demo?
Well, the best I'd ever seen at this grid was, his name is John Walker. He had been athletic trainer for a really long time in the big leagues for like his whole life. And he would crank out a grid full 9 of everybody below 1%, be like, yep, done. And he would have the best grid I'd ever seen. Because he'd know all these guys. He does it in like
30 seconds too.
Yeah, he just does it real fast.
That's a good point. Like, sometimes I'll see like a rarity score that is just like somebody continually tweeting it out. Yep, I did it again. And I'm just like, what is going on? Like, athletic trainers are like a unique superpower in that capacity. I mean, I know anybody in physical therapy, especially in the training room, just because those are the discussions that you have when you're in a baseball setting. Like, that's just what they do. They know how to give treatment and they know how to watch ball. And it's amazing to see them do well. I like seeing the players that can put themselves too. Like, Joe Beimel was a reliever in the big leagues for quite a while. And whenever he can put himself on the grid, he'll take a photo of it and he'll post it.
That's awesome.
So I think that's one of the coolest things when you can say yourself on there. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Let's play it safe. Let's go Jason Giambi, huh? Just play it safe.
I mean, that sounds good. I think that I'm curious to see if he would get lower percentage or if Canseco would get a lower one.
I would say Canseco would have a higher one.
Yeah, let's go Jason Giambi. You did mean Jason, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he'll be on there.
10%, better than what I thought.
10. That actually is better than what I thought.
All right, we got some.
Where do we go from here?
Tricky Brewers here.
Prince Fielder would be on there. I know.
Yep.
And then 300 average, like.
I feel like most people would say Christian Yelich because I feel like he's the most recent. Now, what about I was thinking sleeper pick, like a Ryan, like not a sleeper in terms of ability, but like maybe some people wouldn't pick him right away, is Ryan Braun.
Yeah, Ryan Braun and his 38-inch bat or whatever it was that he swung. I think Braun would be safe because he debuted, his rookie year was 2007. So I mean, I think that was still. I could feel pretty good about a Ryan Braun.
All right, let's send it in there.
It's tough too, and if we get this wrong, how are we going to explain this? Or that's on the home run one.
Yeah, that's on the home run one. Unless you want to save him for the average one. Or we could go really safe and go Christian Yelich for average. Because I guarantee you he's had a 300 plus average season.
Braun's hit 30 bombs. All right, let's do Braun for the homers.
Okay. 19%, not terrible either. It's our highest one on the grid so far.
You paused on the click, and I had my heart skipped a beat.
Yeah, I know.
I'm usually not this wound up doing these, but for the sake of just the cinematic presentation, like, I want to make sure we do a really good job on this one. Grid. And the farther we get into this episode, the more anxious I'm getting because. All right, 300 average. Yelich would be safe. I don't think there's any issues there. It's tough too because a lot of modern players, like, I feel like if you dip into the 60s, 70s, 80s, that's when there's some really good percentages there. But I'm not gonna lie, that wasn't the era I grew up in. That American League Brewers at that point. So yeah, there you go. If there's anybody that watched that era and the golden age of their upbringing, at least you know that I know that the Brewers were in the American League.
Well, do you have anybody in that area that you want to take a chance on? No, you want to go straight for Christian Yelich?
No, I can't.
What if Christian Yelich had multiple seasons of 298?
I've been there. I have been there before. That's happened to me multiple times. Who the goodness. I mean, it's tough because I was about to say Craig Counsell, but I don't know.
Craig Counsell might be a pretty good one, but he was also. I don't know. It's tough. I think
we can always come back to this one.
Yeah, let's come back to it. But Christian Yelich is kind of where we're at right now, right?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right,
Pirates. You want to go down to the Pirates? Yeah?
Pirates 30 Jacks.
All right. The first one that comes to my mind is Willie Stargell. So, well, Barry Bonds is going to be on there too, but I imagine Bonds is probably going to be the leader.
Yeah.
Speaking of uniforms, Willie Stargell, if you guys listen to the first half and like it, look up the Willie Stargell Pirates hats with the stars on them. That's a nice little nugget right there for anybody that's made it to this episode. I personally am not a big fan of those, but I do respect it. So go ahead and check those out. Anyways, I know the average Andrew McCutchen would be on there. Yeah, I'm sure.
That's the safest route possible.
Yeah, 30 home runs could be Jason Bay.
That'd be a good one. I'm just nervous.
Obscure. Did Neil Walker get there too?
It's so tempting not to open another tab and just go, hey.
So I need to disclose to people that are here, we have made a vow that, so this is the way that we're presenting this. You can see our eyes, you can see our hands, you can hear Evan's clicks on his computer. Like, there's no way that we can do this without cheating. Or there's no way that we can do this while cheating, rather. So I just wanted to put that moral compass down of this is like genuine struggle. Like this is pure.
You'll understand that we're not cheating when you see us miss two. And see us only fill out 7 of our 9.
If we miss, honestly, this is good though, because even if we do miss 2, this reflects the accuracy of how challenging this actually is. And chances are, if you're watching this episode, there's a good chance that you're probably either right with us or you're probably laughing at us over how come you forgot this guy. But that's part of the fun of it. That's where baseball people are taking screenshots and they're sending them in their group chat with their friends and that kind of thing. And that's why we wanted to highlight this, is because if you're not doing this, like, do it with us. Like, we have a good time putting this together.
That's right.
I'm curious what Willie Stargell would have, just because I feel like that era of fan would pick Bonds over Stargell.
What about what year was he? What year did he? Well, I guess I can look.
Oh, you can type. Yeah, you can type and see.
1962 to 1982. Played 20 years.
That's a good chunk right there.
A thing of the grid though is he has to have hit those home runs with the Pirates. If you did it with a different team, it doesn't count.
Well, and this is interesting too, because it's more common to hit more home runs now, or like 2000 and beyond, than it is 2000 and before. So that'd be interesting to do a side by side of, does Jason Bay and Willie Stargell single season home runs? How do they compare?
I hope whoever's watching this right now is looking up Jason Bay and Willie Stargell and then anticipating which one we're gonna pick.
Well, and this is the tough thing, because you can fake being really good at this. Like, honestly, you can look these up and you can plug them in, and that's part of, sometimes I wonder if people do to boost their rarity feelings or whatever. So,
what do you want to do, Jason Bay or Willie Stargell?
I feel like Bay would be the better one, but I think Stargell's probably safer. And for the purpose of us making it this far, I would probably. I think Stargell's. Let's go there.
Okay.
Unless you want to roll the dice. If you want to roll it.
No, I'm happy playing the safe route, but honestly, I have no idea how safe this is. So we'll see. Oh, is that the right spelling? I got the right one.
But there's more than one Willie Stargell?
No, there's not, but I'm just checking. I'm nervous.
All right, let's just go for it.
Yes.
I'm nervous.
I'm nervous. He's on the grid, though. It's great.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna need your help for the left columns. So I'm pleased that you're at least getting nervous a little
I
bit.
want to throw. I
one.
really want to do this last because I want to chuck in one of my all-time favorites for the grid, and it's Tommy Malone. And I'm not sure if he fits in that category, but I really want to throw Tommy Malone in there so bad.
Oh my goodness!
So
All right, we can do the average. Well, the easy ones we could knock this out with McCutchen and Yelich. So we know that we could get it done. Do we want to just get it done?
I feel like we can. Let's see what we get. I don't know. But
I mean, Bonds would be on there too. Well, who would be like McCutchen or Bonds?
Well, what
For the
about
bottom right?
Roberto?
Yeah, Roberto would be on there.
He would be on there, and he would be a high
Roberto
percentage.
Clemente, for those of you. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, this is always cool too. At the end, and this is a good nugget for people that maybe haven't done this. At the end of your guesses, you will see the grid of the most common ones used. So whatever the least rare complete 9 would be, like you're able to see the highest percentages. So this will be interesting too, because a lot of the guesses that we've said are going to be on that full 9.
Yeah.
So it's tough too, because like McCutchen having spent time with multiple teams now. I mean, when I think of him as a Pirate.
Well, yeah.
But I don't know if when you think of Bonds, you think of him as a Giant, or at least that's what I think most people think of him as.
Do you think he hit 300 at the beginning of his career with the Pirates?
I would think so.
So our safe play is McCutchen for sure.
Our safe play is yes. You want to let's. I'm on board.
I would say an
McCutchen
even safer play is Roberto Clemente. Yeah, that's like the
true.
max safe play because you can't play in that era and not hit 3 bills.
Yeah. Do you want to go in the middle? We'll meet it with McCutchen because then we'll probably get some more points there.
Yeah, let's try it.
Okay.
Oh man,
because I think this is a good hybrid pick between the Bonds and the Clemente.
Oh, nervous.
This is going. This will be no. This one is you can. All right, you hovering over it made me anxious right there.
All right, 21.
Oh goodness.
He's now our
21,
highest.
That's
it's crazy. We're taking more risks at the beginning than we have so far of the.
I know, like that's.
Ones.
I thought Giambi for the one that the top middle was going to be, but Giambi, I thought that'd be more rare than McCutchen.
Yeah, well, he is more rare than McCutchen. He's at 10%.
Or I'm sorry, the other way. I thought McCutchen would be more rare.
Oh yeah.
That's interesting.
I think because so many people try to complete the grid and then they just put Maguire or Canseco in the A's category for 30 home runs.
Well, and that's true because like sometimes when I'm doing it, I'm just like, all right, I can't sit here all day and think about some obscure like this would come to mind if I marinated on it for a minute, but I'm just all right, you know what? I'll put it in.
So do we want to go safe route again with the Brewers? Just go safe route? Christian Yelich?
You know, this is where the batting average one, and I actually want to add this in, of the era that you and I really grew up in was, I mean, it wasn't uncommon. Well, I mean, it was uncommon, but it wasn't super rare to see a 300 hitter. But it was a lot more rare in our upbringing than it was in previous decades.
Correct.
So this is one that I think for the people that are younger that are doing it, that means the rarity is going to be very high. Like, I mean, it's not going to be a rare selection if you do pick Yelich, because I think that's the only really one that, well, I shouldn't say only, but that's a very recognizable one for our type of demographic that's filling it out. At the same time, I don't know who else I would pick to put down there. And there's some group of athletic trainers that are just laughing at us right now because they probably get like a 0.6 in this. So, no, I'm good with
He
Yelich.
does, actually. 0.6 like everybody on the board.
Good grief.
Okay, we're going to go with Christian Yelich.
Oh, you type first name. I just type last name.
Oh. I don't know. I just type it.
No, I wasn't saying that's a bad thing.
No, I know. Okay, you ready, Christian Yelich?
All right,
Let's see if he's hit over 3 bills.
This will be on here. This will definitely.
23. We keep going up in our percentages because we keep wanting to miss out.
Yeah, well, I thought this was going to be the highest, so that's all right.
I'm curious to see if Craig Counsell's on that list, because if I was doing this not live, I would just throw in Craig Counsell and just see if I got it. Because I'm shooting for the stars.
Live.
So the Pirates and the Mariners.
Oh my goodness.
Who's played for the Pirates and the
I want to
Mariners?
say, I don't think Andres Munoz was with them. I don't know why that name came to mind. I don't think that's one. I know he's like a setup man with the Mariners right now.
That's a good one, though. I'm trying to figure out where he started. Because I know it because I've talked to him several times, and like he has told me about the places that he's going. I forget. I don't have as good a memory as you do.
I wish he was. This is where the relievers are awesome. Like, I absolutely love like the trade deadline pickups of. I mean, this is one where like a Paul Sewald, if you see a Diamondbacks and a Mariners, and you're instantly able to plug that in. You see, good grief. These were the two that I was afraid of, and it's not because I don't think that I know somebody that has. It's just I don't know how easily I can identify them.
Yeah. It's usually with these ones, if you don't get it, you see later on, you're like, oh, duh. Like,
yeah, you're just devastated. Well, the problem with this is we can't give up on the air.
Correct.
Well, we're not going to give up because if it gets to this, we're going to just type in LaTroy Hawkins like we mentioned at the beginning. So it's not like we're in a position where we're going to bail.
LaTroy Hawkins?
He might actually be on there. I don't know if he pitched for the Mariners, though.
Ooh, man.
He's one of those that pitched for like 80 teams.
I like the Munoz choice, but I also like for some reason it screams Pirates, but for some reason I'm also doubting it a lot.
Yeah. Good grief. This is
we got to have one superstar that we both know that we're just missing that's played for both.
Well, do you want to put Tommy Milone in on the top left so we can we can get that one done?
I don't know for sure, but I'm just going to tell the viewers right now I want to take a chance on Tommy Milone.
If we get it wrong, that means we can move on. There we go.
Because met him before, and I know he's played for a ton of teams. Come on, be Tommy Milone. Yes!
No, we don't actually 1%.
Know. He's like, wait, we don't actually know for sure?
I felt like you were speaking it out of existence for a minute. I thought that was your sure thing. And you're like, yeah, here we go.
No, that was the risky one because he was down in Arizona working in rehab the same time I was there. And I just remember that was the same time that Immaculate Grid was coming around. And we were doing it in the training room. And he's in there. And I'm asking him like, Tommy, did you play for this team too? Because he's played for like 15 different teams. Something crazy like that.
You asked him in real time?
Yeah. Tommy, did you play for this team? He's like, yeah. He's like, all right, perfect. That's right.
That's the coolest way of cheating ever. That's electric.
Yeah, that counts.
That's why the trainers are doing so good. The trainers are good at it because they have those conversations now, man. 100%. Like, this game was built for athletic trainers, man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good grief.
All right, we
we're
got
back
one
in the
more
land of
box.
us being scared. I hope that our viewers recognize how pure these reactions are. And I just thought to myself, while we're hosting this, I'm generally kind of formal, like sitting up, like, hey, everybody. I've been like hunched over, just like scratching my head this entire episode. Like, I just dawned on me, my professionalism has taken a hit with this thought-provoking search for all these players. So my apologies. There we go.
Well, here's
Actually,
the thing.
no, not my apologies. This is real. This is it.
This is real. Now, here's the thing. We have one guest left, one box left. We need a for sure choice. For sure choice.
Yeah.
And I can't think of anybody that's a for sure choice. And I know that when we finish this, and if this box is red, I'm going to see the list of who was there, and I'm going to be so mad.
Well, honestly, I have thought about this. Now that we're 8 for 8, if we do get one wrong, at least the viewers will know that it's authentic. Because, like, if we get it all right, there's going to be some hunch that I guess now that we have some higher percentages, it's not like it's a completely out of this picture. Like, this is very pure, and I think people can understand this has been a genuine process of us picking who we've picked already. But
can you throw out a name?
Any name day-to-day life
that you think
Robbie Ray?
I don't know.
I don't think he was a pirate.
He was down there at the same time as Tommy was, but I can't remember. Shoot.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Munoz actually kind of like makes me think. Yes, I'm gonna actually think that I would be comfortable going with Munoz.
I mean, hey, I'm not really comfortable, but I'm not gonna stop you. You're also the one typing it in, so you have my authorization if that's what you're looking for.
I'm just gonna give it one just a little bit longer. Just can you think of any superstar names that might have played for both?
This is gonna suck because we're gonna see somebody that we're just gonna be devastated about.
That's the thing. However, though, if Munoz clicks, I'm gonna be elated.
Well, what happens if we pick somebody else?
Because
and then we find out Munoz was.
To say this, Munoz is down there at the same time frame as the other guys too. So we had Munoz. 3 people in the
So what
grid.
you're saying is that if we were in Peoria, Arizona right now, our rarity would be off the charts right now.
Yeah, we just asked John Walker. He'd tell us 0.5 percenters all the way across the grid.
Oh, goodness gracious.
That 1% right there is John Walker, I guarantee it. All right. I'm committed to go to Munoz, honestly. And what's weird is I can't remember where. I know Luis Castillo was with the Reds, but was he with anybody before that?
He was. I don't think he was.
I'm thinking of like starting pitchers.
Yeah, because I'm thinking I would love to get Munoz is the only one that I got. I also don't want to bog down the show. All right, well, here's another side of this. All right, so in your day-to-day life, and this is a good nugget to add from an actual presentation standpoint, it's fairly often that you will get to this point in the grid, and then you've got life you got to attend to. You got to cook breakfast. You got to drive to work. You got to type an email. You got to do something here. And then you keep this tab open on your computer, and you'll click back through it throughout the day, and you'll just get frustrated because you've come this far, but you can't figure out who this final one is.
Yes.
So there's a good chance on my computer at work, there's probably an open tab for an Immaculate Grid I'm just kind of seeing if spontaneously 2 p.m. some player is going to cut into my mind here. So
with that being
you
said,
can't really do that when you're on live. It's just you can't really
have to make a
this
choice.
is the point where I would close the tab.
All right, I'm gonna send it. I think maybe. I mean,
all right.
He's only been playing since 2019, so it's pretty short. But in my mind, my memory says Padres. Or sorry, my memory says Pirates. Actually, no, it does say Padres. Hey, he was Padres. He's for sure Padres. He was for sure Padres. Now that I think about it, he was definitely Padres.
This is the best part of doing this with somebody. All right, we're going to have to do LaTroy Hawkins then.
Yeah.
Did he play for the Mariners? He'd be a great guest on the show, but he's going to turn it down if we get this wrong. I thought you actually picked Clay.
I'm so happy. I fumbled and said Padres, and then I was like, wait a minute. It was definitely Padres. Oh man, I cannot. I really hope it was the Padres, but I'm pretty 90% sure now it was the Padres. But all right, LaTroy Hawkins.
This is the equivalent of my onside kick. This is the onside kick attempt.
Yeah, this is the fake punt right here.
If you're good with it, you know what?
All right, sending it. 3, 2, 1. Oh no!
It popped up. I thought it was good.
I swear, if Munoz is in that bottom corner, I'm gonna be so mad.
All right. Well, if you scroll down, you'll see the average score is 6.7. So this means we actually did do fairly well. So that's not bad. So 6.7. We got 8 of them. That's pretty darn good.
All right.
So we see the percentages. Those are the options. All right, so we can see Clemente and Bonds on the bottom. Jeez.
These are the most popular.
Yeah, we would have been lost on that bottom left. I'm pleased that we didn't marinate
Carlos
over this
Santana.
anymore.
I feel like that's the name that we should have known. I feel like
Yeah. I wouldn't have come up with that one. I get it now, Carlos Santana. That makes sense. And that's part of it too. Of like sometimes you can kind of be at peace. Is this all of the lists of the people that are actually on that bottom?
yes. You can't see very well, but it's Rich Gossage, Jack Wilson, Dave Roberts, J.A. Happ.
Goose Gossage, is that like a one? Hang on, does it tell you how many seasons they played for each team?
Yes. Rich
Goose Gossage play like 1 year for
one
each
with the
one?
Pirates, one with the Mariners. Dave
like
Roberts.
80 with the Yankees.
Dave
Roberts, that's an interesting, and that's a funny one too, because sometimes you'll have people that like have personal relationships with those people that, as obscure as this particular selection might be, maybe somebody just knows some person's story extremely well. That's a pretty good collection of names.
I'm just
right
scanning
there.
for
Yeah,
Andres
this is really
Munoz
cool.
right
I
now.
actually do want to show some love. Yeah, I can type in Munoz on Baseball Reference so we can at least get some answers. This is kind of a cool thing, and this is a big tip of the cap. This was actually purchased. Immaculate Grid existed before Baseball Reference purchased it, but Baseball Reference now controls it, and they use their resources to put it together. So to recognize how this was able to be built and really structured, like this is a really cool setup, and to see the interactive features of you can click on it and you can learn a lot about the game. I think this is kind of the cool part about people that collect baseball cards. You can learn so much about players just by opening packs and checking it out. Well, the cool thing about this is you can really, this turns into the educational setting of growing the game and respecting the history of the game just by looking through here. And even if you don't do a particular good job, you still are able to check something out that's pretty admirable. So we can be good with it, but we need to find out where Munoz played first. I'm typing it in. Andres Munoz. He played for the Padres 2019.
Well, at least I got it wrong, but I also was not wrong.
That's beautiful. Oh my goodness. You know, honestly, that I could feel good. I could sleep good at night realizing that we put a conscious effort down. And that's some good stuff right there, man. Well, there we have it. Well done. I think we did okay. I mean, as long as that's it. I think that was cohesive, and now you and I are set for this. I'm even more bought in and motivated to keep doing it. So
8 out of 9. We just needed a closer. That's all.
If all goes well, hopefully after we establish plenty of guests, my goal is to do a night pitch Immaculate Grid that includes all of our guests and the people that we featured. So stay tuned. We're going to build the reservoir of the people that have been on the show, and believe me, there's going to eventually get a point in time where we're going to be able to do a show like that. So in the meantime, we're doing this show for you guys. We're building it. We're having an absolute blast. This has been episode 16, and we have no intentions of stopping anytime soon. Absolutely love all of the support that you've been giving us. Check us out on the social channels. Evan, you got any final thoughts for us?
Andres Munoz played for the Padres.
You never know what you're going to get right there, man. Shout out to my guy for making us look really good on that. I'll admit a lot of those were your brainchild, right? And wouldn't have done nearly as well without Evan's help. But we certainly wouldn't do as well as we have on this show without the support of all of you guys out there in the world. Keep being tremendous people out there. Our goal is to cultivate ambition and enthusiasm in this game of baseball. And it is so much easier with all of the support that you guys bring us. And we look forward to continuing to carry the torch to propel wherever you may be in this world supporting the game of baseball. He's Evan Johnson. I'm Justin Wick. This has been The Night Pitch. We will see you next time.
So here's to life, and every joy it brings. So here's to life.